All right, good morning, KWMKE. Get me today. It's going to be a great morning. I have a lot of really fun stuff to go over today. We're going to start like we always do with our mission, vision, and values. This Thursday is Red Day. So since 2009, our entire company from US to Canada to abroad sets aside the second Thursday of every May to renew, energize, and donate, and give back to the communities. So this Thursday, we're giving credence to our company's mission, which is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, and lives worth living, and experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. So 180 plus of you are all signed up for this Thursday. There are a few spots left if people are still looking at getting involved this Thursday. If you did sign up already, you should have received a know before you go from Kathleen Wooten yesterday with some more details on where to be, what timing. If you ordered t-shirts, check in at the front desks of your offices if you haven't got your shirts yet. There is a little rain predicted for Thursday, but that's fine. No one will melt, I don't think. So dress for the occasion. If you are doing one of the outdoor places like the Hunger Task Force Farms or Zachariah's Acres, please make sure to take note at here are your different leaders who are going to be on site for your specific location. So if you have questions or concerns, reach out to them or they'll reach out to you to let you know if there's any changes. I did speak with the farm this morning and he said the weather's looking better than it did yesterday. So they're optimistic that it might just be a little bit of light rain, but we'll keep you guys posted. So really excited about this Thursday for Red Day. Just a reminder, our offices will be closed. But if you do have business, your key fobs work at all the locations. So excited to see you guys out there. We talked last week about our incredible nomination for top workplaces for our third year in a row. I wanted to share, you guys asked for some resources that you can share and promote on your own social media. So thank you to Lindsay Vranick. She created a bunch of content that you guys can go ahead and scan this QR code and share out in whatever format you'd like. These are also available on kwrealtymke.com. Yeah. I can. All right. This next part's what I'm excited about. This is going to be fun. Okay, so we have had a ton of training and education, a lot of sharpening the axe, as Charlie would say. We've had Jeff Glover, we have contract training, we have script practice, we have PC, we have Maureen and Friends, we have Accelerator, we have, the list goes on and on. Almost every single day there's something going on in terms of training. And we've gotten to the point where I would say we're almost addicted to information, but I want to make sure that we're not allergic to the implementation of it all. A lot of you are laughing because I think that might be you. I love this saying, education without implementation is simply entertainment. And I want to make sure that everything we're going to, we're also looking at and implementing into our business to find the success that we need to have in this market. Something else Jeff said I really liked. He said the average mind justifies. The media likes to talk about our industry because it's sexy and it's fun. They want to talk about interest rates and inventory. And I heard there's a lawsuit going on. The average mind wants to take all those negative thoughts and then do behaviors based off of it. Then I looked at these numbers, which we've been showing a lot of lately, but this doesn't look like the average mind. This is definitely not. Up 22% versus a market that's up 5%, up 16% listings taken in a market that's up 3.5%. Contracts written up 19% versus 5%. So I said, okay, behind all these numbers are really strong individuals. All of you, and specifically 5 that we're going to hear from today. So I called these agents and first of all, congratulated them on it and said, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you implementing? Give me something implementable that we can do now to continue into the summer to have great results. So not only did I ask them what they're doing, I said, what questions would you want to ask other people who are performing at your top level so that we're not always talking about the same stuff? What are you looking at to level up going into the summer? So we're going to ask those questions that they had. They're going to ask their peers, and I'm going to ask them some of these tough questions so that we can go into the summer feeling really strong. My challenge to you is when you're listening to these folks, write down something you're going to implement today. And it doesn't have to be 12 things. I suggest one. Just do one thing from these select folks. So the first person we're going to hear from, I don't know why this is stuck up. Thank you. All right, the first agent we're going to hear from, she has not even been in the industry for 3 years, and she has consistently been selling 18 million plus per year. Is that someone you want to hear from? Becky Thomas. Next person we're going to hear from, and my playlist closet Pitbull fan, you know who I'm talking about. Okay, so the warm-up songs were in honor of this agent. She, year to date, now remember, we're only 4 months in, has already closed 11 million in production. She has another million in AO. Someone you might want to hear from? Yeah. Janine Warner, Pitbull guru. Oh, 3 million in AO is ready to close. She told me one. All right, that's good. Okay. Next up, this agent is honestly the epitome of work-life balance. I look at what he's doing and I'm like, goals, goals, goals. Plus growing a huge team and continuing to inspire. Marcus Auerbach, excited to hear from you. The next agent, business is up 70% year over year and is selling 40 units and working with more sellers than buyers. Do we want to hear from this agent? Yeah. Kristen Stahulik, we're going to be hearing from you. This next agent was really funny. I called her yesterday. She answers the phone. She goes, oh God, am I in trouble? And I'm like, are you kidding me? No, girl, you are on fire. She is in the top 5% of our entire roster year to date. Do we want to hear from this agent today? Bridget Ty. All right, guys, unmute. I'm bringing you on. These questions were from you guys. So this will be really exciting to hear. All right, the first question is from Janine Warner. So I'm going to start with you, Janine. Janine said she wants to know what sets you apart from other agents and what is your superpower?
Good morning, everybody. I asked this question because I think there is something that everyone has that sets you apart from everyone. And it may take a while to figure out what that is. And it's your strength and to lean into whatever that is. And that's really what I have done. And I think my superpower, I have a few, but the one that I have really leaned into and I think has helped me tremendously is my intuition. So picking up on people's personalities, and that starts with the first conversation you have with them, whether it's at an open house or before you go on that listing appointment. And I kind of put them in a type of category of where their personality is at and how I can potentially match that. So I already have a feeling of what they're looking for as far as an agent. And then I hone in on what my strengths are so I can match what they are actually looking for. So that has been a huge win for me, even when negotiating offers, home inspections, just being intuitive to my client and setting that conversation up with my client or a co-broke. So that would be my superpower. And I feel that along with negotiating are my top two.
Excellent. Thank you. Marcus, let's see your cape. What is your superhero power? And what sets you apart from other agents?
I think it's totally opposite of Janine's. That's absolutely my unpower, but you know, I think I'm good with numbers. I'm good with strategy. And I think people pick me because for who I am and for, you know, for how I do things. And I think, you know, I was And maybe if you're new, this is maybe interesting to hear. When I started, I was really intimidated by people at KW who are extreme extroverts. And I'm like, oh my God, that's just not me. You know, how can I be successful? And I think the takeaway here is that you be you, you do you. We're all different flavors of ice cream. There's nothing wrong with vanilla. There's nothing wrong with chocolate or with strawberry. You know, just be yours. You will find the clients that will, you know, like you exactly the way you are, and they like the attributes that you bring to the table. The key is just that you connect with enough people that, you know, somebody can see you. You can't be a secret agent.
Two very different superpowers and both equally important. The next question is from Kristen Stahulik. So Kristen, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to ask all of you this because I think this is a similar question that a lot of people in the room might have. And it's twofold. A lot of you might not be working with a lot of sellers. You might be working with buyers. A lot of you vice versa, the other way. So take this question in whatever direction you want. Kristen, what is your response when sellers want to cut commission rates because they've been watching the media? And in turn, what are the buyer conversations you're having if working with more buyers?
So I've been struggling a little bit with sellers watching the media, and right away they, you know, they're all in on we don't have to pay buyer's commission anymore. I just try to explain to them that they're severely limiting their exposure by listening to the media. That, you know, I just try to explain it from a buyer's agent's point of view of how much time and effort they put into it, and they're just not gonna want to come show the house on a whim that they'll be able to write the commission into the offer. And a lot of it's just explaining it to them, like just really explaining what our expenses are, how much time we put into it, how we have to pay our brokers, just all our fees involved. And I recently had a seller kept arguing that and said, you know, they can write it in the offer. I'll pay it if they write it in the offer. And I said, well, what about the person that's been dragging someone around for a year or 2 years? And, you know, they say, hey, I want to go see this property. And that agent calls. I have buyers like that. And then I call, and what if that particular seller says, no, I'm not going to do it. And then my buyer says, well, I'm just going to go to the listing agent. So, you know, you're out a year or two of work. And I just think it's important to try to reframe it and to get them to really understand it from our perspective and how much time we put into it as buyer's agents and the expense. I mean, when I start telling them about what I spend between photographers and external marketing, they don't know that. They don't know what realtors spend to do this. So I put it right out there and let them know what I have to put into this business for my tools. And just,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Thank you, Kristen. Becky, Thomas, out in Lake Country, how about you? What has been your response when sellers are trying to cut commission rates, or what does the buyer conversation sound like with everything happening in our industry?
Yeah, I would just definitely second that. It's a lot of education, and to be honest, it's really what you just said, like showing them what it is, where is all this money going that we make? Because I think the media kind of made it seem like, oh, we just are rolling in the dough, and and we're not working hard for it. We're sitting back, you know, selling sunset, whatever, going to parties. But what they don't know is that, you know, we've been up since 4 a.m. and don't go to bed till 11, sometimes negotiating deals with our clients, and how long that we might end up working with them unpaid until that closes. You know, I also, and again, somebody can jump on and correct me, but things really truly haven't come to fruition yet. So if you are going to be selling right now, and I wouldn't say to not sell your home, just waiting for what the actual, you know, full verdict is going to end up being, or how that's going to look. You know, as July starts coming, we all know spring market is the hot market to sell your home. So as it gets closer to that, and that July, August mark, I mean, you're starting to already come down to a market that's going to be a little softer than it is right now. So I don't think waiting just until, so you don't have to pay a buyer's commission. And the whole conversation is around that's not necessarily what's going to happen. It just might not be spelled out in MLS the same way that it is right now. But these, I mean, think about all these couples who are looking for homes who have saved up, finally saved up their 20%, and they don't have an extra, $12, $15, $25,000 to pay the agent. And again, limiting the amount of buyers that come through the home. That's part of our marketing, is to get the most buyers through the home. So
Can I
Thank
jump
you.
in here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, so I think sellers will always do what's best for sellers. They're not going to pay somebody just because they understand the situation or the predicament or the expenses. Sellers will do what's best for them, and I think it's best for them to actually, make sure they get the biggest exposure they can. It's a little bit to a car manufacturer or a car dealership when they decide, well, why do we have to offer financing? Consumers can just get their own financing. It's akin to that. Sure, you can say that. I actually used to work for a company in Europe that would try selling excavators and skid steers in the US. And for years, we had that big debate if we need to offer financing, because the Europeans don't do that. In America, this is just part of our culture. And if you don't do it, you're just in a different category. So I think getting the maximum exposure is very important. The average down payment in the US is somewhere around 7.5%. So putting an additional, call it 3% buyer agency commission on top of a lot of these buyers, that literally means that their down payment is just going up by 50%. So that doesn't help the buyers, and in return, it also doesn't help the sellers, because it limits the pool of people that are actually looking at the house.
mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to take some time to shake out. I think we're going to see some turmoil until the industry finds a new way, a new pattern. I think a lot of consumers will give it a try. I think especially in the luxury segment. There's other agents that do much more in that. Maybe, Janine can talk much better to this than I can. But I think the higher up you go in price, I think the more it is feasible for a listing to actually say, well, we're not paying the buyer's agent commission. But in 85% of the market, which is the bread and butter segment in Milwaukee, you are severely going to limit the number of buyers that will be competing for your property.
And
Janine?
can I just add one more thing too?
Yeah.
Somebody said on some of the many things that we've been watching is if your sellers are going to purchase a home and become a buyer, then if they are going to have to pay the buyer's agent 3% anyway, and then they're paying 3% to sell their home, then what's the difference anyway, right? It's still 6%, 3 plus 3, right? So I think sometimes, again, going back to Janine, like feeling out where they're at, that could be, another thing to bring up, is just if you know that they're going to be buying another home and have to be a buyer's agent too, or buyer. You know what I mean?
A lot of our sellers are buyers. Education, and I think to a lot of people, what I'm hearing is that perception is the reality, and helping change their perception and helping them see the reality. Janine, anything you can add to this question?
Yeah. So when that subject is brought up, and it has literally been brought up at every single listing appointment I've had, I always, in turn, instead of me to start giving them my opinion, I'll ask them what they have heard and what they think. So I kind of want to know the information that they have taken in. And my response has been this: in the state of Wisconsin, our listing agreements have always been extremely transparent of how the commission is broken down between the listing broker and the co-broke. And of course, all of that is and always has been negotiable. What I want for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is for you to cast the widest net. And if we start eliminating compensation for the co-broke, do you really feel that you're going to be getting these amazing offers that are potentially going over asking price with accelerator clauses? The market determines the price, and the market are the buyers. So in order to get the prices that we have been getting in the past, by eliminating the potential of not paying that co-broke, I'm curious to think, you know, what is that going to give you as far as competitive offers? So my job for you is to cast the widest net and look at the net proceeds versus how that is really set apart. And it's not by eliminating. And by when I say that, they're like, oh my gosh, I totally understand what you're saying. Let's do the 6%. I don't want to leave anyone out. My bottom line is how much can I possibly net? It's kind of like discussing commission as a whole, or, you know, the Keller Williams commission that you add on to your 6%. If you kind of verbally vomit all over it and giving them information they don't even understand, you're going to lose them. But if you simplify it, that it's been clear from day one, and this is how we have presented our listing agreements, they're okay with it thus far. I just don't overcomplicate it. I make it to look like a win-win for them.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna move on to the next question that was asked by Becky. She said, and I'm gonna start with you, Bridget, on this, birthday this week, everybody. Bridget Ty, happy birthday. What should agents either new to the business or seasoned be focusing on to get into production? What should we be doing to implement and get going? Bridget, you haven't been in, both Bridget and Becky have not been in the business for more than 3 years and have found the success they've had. So what were you doing and what do you have to say to those folks?
So I think one of the things that has been working extremely well, especially just in the past year here, and I think could be really helpful for not only new agents, but seasoned agents. I'm so appreciative for Keller Williams and that report we get every week. You have never made it easier to hear about single party opportunities. I think that has been one of the biggest parts of my success. When I see that list, if I don't have a buyer, I'm going to find a buyer. I would much rather be having a buyer for an off-market opportunity than the MLS right now. It's obviously a very challenging market, but I don't think it stops at connecting with your fellow Keller Williams agents and, you know, viewing the report. I work really hard at building relationships also outside of Keller Williams with other top agents all around Milwaukee. And this can just be grabbing coffee, grabbing lunch, anything I can do to build my network of agents on top of obviously my sphere. I think that sometimes we forget how important it is to have relationships with other co-brokes, even, you know, bigger than maybe relationships with friends and family and things like that, to find good opportunities for your buyers.
Amazing. Thank you, Bridget. Becky, anything you'd like to add? I know you were passionate about this one when we spoke yesterday. I liked it.
Well, I just think like we have a lot of new agents and sometimes, well, shout out to Mackenzie. Obviously, she's been doing like an awesome job of PC training out here. So that's really, really great. But definitely get involved in that. Outside of that, I think sometimes people just are like, okay, what do I do? And to be honest, that like coming off of working full time and doing real estate and then January hit and I was kind of in the same boat, like what do I do today when I wake up? I don't know. So one thing that I always really tell new agents is just to reiterate what Jeff Glover said, make your phone calls. And honestly, when people would tell me like, oh, you have to do 20 calls a day, that seemed really overwhelming. So I just said to myself, but can I do 1 call a day at the same time every day? So at 8:45 a.m. every single day, not Saturday and Sunday, I call at least one person because that feels doable to me. And it's usually in the car on the way somewhere. And then people are like, well, what do I even talk about? And you can use that Ford method, the friends, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So you might not get to all of them, but usually you can at least say, how's your family? And then honestly, like if you're doing a nice job, so this kind of like fast forward of your social media and people know what you're doing, they ask you about real estate. So I honestly never go into the conversation thinking I'm going to ask them about real estate. I uniquely go through my list and I'm like, wow, I have not talked to that person in forever. And so I call them and I'm like, hey, I haven't talked to you in forever. Like, what is going on? And we talk about their family and we talk about what's going on. And then it always 100% of the time, they're like, holy cow, it looks like you're killing it in real estate. I see you all over the place. What's going on? How are you liking it? And then that's my opportunity to talk about real estate. You know, at the end of the conversation, I personally don't say like, can you please give me 3 referrals? Let me write their names down. I just say, if you ever hear of somebody wanting to buy or sell real estate or invest, think of me. You know, that's awesome. They're like, yeah, totally. And then that's it. Like, or you can say, let's meet up for coffee sometime and deepen that, you know, conversation. But so I don't know. My personal thing is like, if 20 sounds like a lot to you, give yourself one goal, one call every day at the same time, make it happen.
Both of you are
One
using
more
different
thing,
tools. but-
Andy.
Yeah, go ahead,
Sorry.
Bridget.
Just off of that with Becky, you might be thinking, well, like, who do I call? So when I first started, I just made a list of everyone in my network that I was like, well, they just had a baby. Okay, they're like empty nesters and those people are renting. And I had this list that I just made up that became my like pipeline. And those were the people that I was inviting over on Friday night to have dinner. And just like Becky, like it would just be brought up. And then I'd say, oh, well, like, have you guys been thinking about it? And they'd be like, yeah, oh my gosh, we're totally outgrowing our house or this or that. And to help it just be a little more organic too, for me, I like to get people in person. And so that works really well.
Getting into relationship and leveraging the tools and information you have with those around you. It sounds simple, not easy. Good job,
Mhm.
ladies. I'm going to end with the last question. I'm going to go around and ask you all. This question was from Marcus, and it's, what does it take to be successful in 2024? You guys are all having tons of success. Kristen, what does it take to be successful in 2024?
How just keep going after it. Just don't stop. Don't, you know, just stay positive. Keep, even if you're in a lull, just keep planting the seeds, keep doing open houses, keep making calls, keep making to-do lists, just keep moving forward, just ever forward.
Great. Thank you so much, Kristen. Marcus, it's your question. You had some great stuff for this. What does it take to be successful in 2024?
Yeah, we touched on it already. I think it's the personal contacts, and it's really not different than it was in previous years. You know, you can get all hung up in the fact that, you know, the overall market shrunk by 1/3 compared to just a few years ago. So, you know, there's less business to go around. I don't subscribe to that mindset. I have a, you know, honestly, a mindset of abundance, because my market is not that big. My market is, you know, 50 people, 100 people that I talk to, and that hasn't changed. And so it doesn't really matter what the overall industry is doing. You can, you know, control your own market. That's what you do. That, you know, there's zero impact on that. And it's a little bit like a recession. You know, it's everybody is talking about, oh my God, we're in a recession. Well, has anything changed for you? You got the same job, you got the same pay. So it's really just in your head. It's factually the same. The key thing is that you pick something that works for you. You know, it's just like working out. You know, if you're a runner, then go running. Don't go in the gym and lift weights if that's not your thing. Even somebody's telling you you should be doing that, because you get motivated, you do it for a week, and then you give it up because it's just not your thing. So you have to find something to get in front of people that you like, that you can consistently doing, and then, you know, just keep doing it. And the good news is it's just a matter of how much energy you put in. That's the direct result to what you get out. So nobody has that magic bullet where, you know, business is just coming to you. You know, it may seem like this from the outside, but it's literally energy that you put in equals the result that you get out.
Awesome. Thank you, Marcus. Janine.
Yeah, I actually sent a quote out to a group of people this morning, and it was, before fixing what you're looking at, check what you're looking through. And so right now, I think there's just a lot of agents writing offers and not getting them accepted, and feeling like they're not doing a great job, feeling less than, extremely tired. So I just changed my lens and think positively, because that is so contagious, you guys. Another thing is the more people that you're in front of, the more business you're going to do. Perfect what you're great at and lean into that. I love open houses, so I lean into that. I have a mission. I know why I'm there, so I'm very specific, and I'm great at it. So that's what I do. And what the things that I'm not great at, as far as lead generation, I don't lean into that because I probably won't do it anyway. So I'm leaning into what I really like to do. So that's my tip. And practice your scripts. If you don't have a script and you're just saying what's coming off the top of your head, well, that's your script. So perfect your scripts.
Thank you. Becky, how about you?
That was really good, Janine, because I tend to get caught up. But one of the things that if as a new agent, if you haven't started doing yet, is the MREA podcast. So it's on Audible or wherever or not Audible, Spotify or wherever, Apple Music, wherever you listen to it is so good, you guys. That is like my radio in the car. So as soon as I hop in the car, I pop on the next episode, and you learn so many things when you're listening to that. So I would recommend that. Also, I love what you guys said. So education without implementation is simply entertainment. It's so true. I think sometimes we get going and we're in all of this training, and myself included. But sometimes you like have to literally take what 2 to 3 things am I taking from this training that I'm going to implement. Otherwise, you can just completely sort of shut down and be like, I don't know what to do. There's too many things. So yeah, I think that is what can make us really successful too. One more thing I have to say is, so Charlie always says chop wood, carry water. And, we saw his great demonstration as he carried an axe and swung it last week. But I kind of was like, oh, what does that mean? And there's this great book by, Joshua Metcalf called it Chop Wood, Carry Water. But what does it mean? And it means to take responsibility for yourself and your success. So don't rely on somebody else feeding you leads or, yes, it's good to have accountability partners, but you have to take responsibility for you. This is a sales job. Like, you have to get out there. You've got to be consistent. Consistency is key. And we hear it over and over again. And honestly, sometimes I do not want to make phone calls. I told my coach, there's one thing I will not do to lead gen I'm not going to make phone calls. He was like, we're going to see about that. But to Janine's point, the more people you make contacts with, it's just math, right? And I can't go to coffee every hour on the hour, but I can make a phone call, and it's just to talk about people and them and themselves and your relationship with them. Sales is about relationships, period. And it should be not just transactional, right? So we're getting to be a part of somebody's life and a huge purchase. We all need to take that really seriously. So.
But thank you, Becky. All right, Bridget, take us home. What do agents need to do to be successful in 24?
I think I have a couple of things. One, I've been getting a lot better at having those tough conversations with my buyers. It's always been difficult for me because you feel bad. I'm like, I know I sound crazy that this is probably what we need to do to get your offer accepted. But my new line is, okay, do you want me to be Midwest nice, or do you want me to tell you how you're going to win this house? And then I explain there's going to be a few offers above asking. There's going to be a few offers here. And then there's going to be 1 or 2 people who are actually competing for this house. And do you want to be these people? Or, we can play in these waters for months over here. So I think just setting realistic expectations and letting them know what's going on out there, and not feeling bad that you're educating them on the tough market that is 2024. And then I think the biggest thing that I'm still working on every day, this this job, the highs are high and the lows are so low. So I'm sometimes like, you got to remember to celebrate the losses. Like, I remember when I wrote my first offer and it got rejected and I was devastated. And my husband and I, we went out and we celebrated because I wrote an offer and that was, what we needed to focus on. And then, sometimes I'll have like the biggest sale of my career and I'll just be on to the next thing before I take a second to congratulate myself or treat myself. So I think that we always just have to remember there's going to be those lows, there's going to be those highs. Don't get kind of lost in all of the commotion and slow down to, remind yourself that you're doing a wonderful job. Keep sticking to all the basics and, everything is all going to work out the way it should. Lean on your co-brokes and your friends, family. But it's all, I think it's an exciting market.
Thank you, Bridget, and happy birthday to you. I love what you said that, and this is something we say all the time, authorship is ownership, right? You're asking your clients, do you want me to be real with you? Or do you want me to be Midwest nice? It gives you permission to really tell them what's going on, and they gave you that permission. So congratulations to all of you guys on your incredible start to the year. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to look here a little bit more at, where's my slides? At that success that a lot of you have had in all those AOs. And so we pulled data again this week that we'll jump over here too. So AOs this last week for the week of 5/6, we had 136 accepted offers with an average price point of $415. And looking at a lot of this, it's remaining pretty consistent. So list price to offer price ratio was down slightly, hardly at all, 102.9%. Earnest money up a little bit at 1.99%. Inspection contingencies is staying pretty around there, up a little bit. 46% had them, 53% did not. Cash offers, 29% were cash deals, 71% financed. Average down payment up a little bit, 18.5% of deals with appraisal gaps was at 18, which is back to the same it was the week of 4/29. And then the average appraisal gap offered was 15,000. So we will get this shared out with you all and uploaded to the website. Continuing on the theme of sharpening your axe and training and education, we have 2 opportunities I want you guys to focus in on this week. We have just one opportunity, email marketing 2.0. Fair Hinton's email marketing campaigns. I agree with Charlie. I open them every time. I think that they do such an incredible job of leveraging something that's free to do and sending out fantastic emails. So that's in the North Shore on the 8th at noon. I believe we'll have some food. So come for a lunch and learn. Email marketing this week at noon with Emily. The last thing I wanted to hit on in terms of training and education, we have a lot more details around our James Shaw event. We've been teasing this. It's June 5th. It is all day. We will have lunch. He is phenomenal. He's going to be teaching a program that he has created called RISE. RISE stands for Real Estate Inspiration, Strategy, and Execution. This again goes back to the idea that agents are addicted to information and allergic to implementation, and he is focusing 100% on implementation. He's going to have you doing things in the room. He's focusing on 4 key areas of implementation. The first is mindset, both your mindset and your client's mindset. The second area of implementation he's focusing on is lead gen strategies and activities. He's going to be leading specific plays you can run right now to get the best results and actual examples and step-by-step strategies to implement to reach your goals. The third area of implementation is the market itself. He's going to be talking about, do we truly understand how to describe today's market to the consumer so that they understand their opportunity? And can they see the big picture beyond the high interest rates and that they're trusting you as the economist of choice? The fourth and final area of implementation he's talking about is how to manage the money. in your business. You might have less money coming in and more going out, and how can we balance that to take advantage of the opportunity that we have now in this market? So the room will sell out. Scan that if you want to register. It's June 5th. It's again at the War Memorial, and it is all day, so there will be a break and lunch is included in it. So hope you can all come to that on June 5th. More information to come on that. All right, next up, I'm switching gears over to Lindsay to talk about some exciting tech and marketing updates.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So earlier this year, I had mentioned that we'd be coming out with some new marketing assets as well as updating some existing marketing materials. And so one of the things that I thought, okay, well, now is probably a really great time to refresh our listing and buyer presentations. We just had Jeff Glover in town last week. He went over his 5-step listing presentation. We've also been having a lot of conversations on how to articulate your value with your buyers. So I'm really excited to share that we have brand new listing and buyer presentations that is part of our marketing concierge. And for whatever reason, this slide isn't working. No, it's okay. I've never had this happen before. Oop. All right. We can skip that slide. This one. Yeah. All right. Sorry, guys. Okay. So as I said, we've got brand new listing and buyer presentations that is part of our marketing concierge. So we've revamped this entirely. So it's revised content to articulate your value with both buyers and sellers. It's an entirely refreshed look. Both of these are going to outline the steps to buying or selling, just like the previous ones had in the past. But we've added some new content. So the buyer's presentation, there's a new page in there on why to hire a buyer's agent. We've also have a list where you can include your preferred vendor partners. So moving companies, mortgage lenders, electricians, plumbers, I mean, anybody that you work with and you want to provide those names and contact information, we can include those as well. As always, we're going to highlight the Keller Williams impact on the southeastern Wisconsin market with some of those statistics. Owning versus renting. The seller's guide is also going to include a breakdown of website syndication. So if you're going on a listing presentation, you're talking about your marketing and the reach that that listing is going to have across all websites, we'll have a breakdown of those as well. So this is now live. It's part of our marketing concierge. Our website has been updated. So you'll see some new examples that you can flip through and actually see what content is included. So like always, our marketing concierge can be found on our kwrealtymke.com website. There's a tab at the top, marketing concierge. Click on that, scroll down to listing and buyer presentations. That's where you can view the examples. The QR code on the screen is going to take you directly to that form to request these. And so unlike before, we actually combined this form so you don't have to submit 2 different forms if you want both the buyer and seller guides. You can fill out that form and select whether you just want the listing presentation, the buyer presentation, or both. So again, those are live, ready to go. So we kind of have a theme going on these next couple of months, which is rebranding and getting a refreshed look with your marketing materials. And so I know I've teased this a few weeks now, but we have our social branding bootcamp coming up on May 16th, which is next week, Thursday. It is at the Innovation Office. So it's going to be in person on Thursdays at 11. I believe we're also going to try a little bit of a hybrid version of it too. We'll have it on Zoom, but I would love to get a packed room at the innovation office in Wauwatosa. And we're really going to be diving into social media marketing, how to brand yourself. The first half hour is going to be learning based, and then the second half of that training is going to be implementation. So how to create your brand, setting up your brand kit in Canva, learning how to create your Facebook business page, how to actually post something, how to do a reel, a lot of different things that you'll learn in this class. And this is going to be through August. So you'll see the May topics on the training calendar and on the screen here. So as I said, rebranding. We have a really exciting event coming up in June. So of course, you know, Willis made this slide, so thanks to Willis. But I want everyone to save the date for June 12th because we are going to be doing a little bit of a realtor refresh. You're not only going to get a free headshot, but it's going to be a marketing rebrand. So thanks to JSG, we're going to be at their Lakeshore Commons development in Oak Creek. Come for a free lifestyle headshot at this development here. It's 10 to 1 p.m. And not only are you going to get a free headshot, but we're going to provide some marketing materials as well with that new headshot. So it's a really excellent opportunity if you do need a new headshot, because we've been talking a lot about refreshing your marketing materials, and what better way to start with that with getting a new headshot. So start the second half of the year out really, really strong. And we're here to provide those materials and help you out with that. So again, June 12th, it's at Lakeshore Commons in Oak Creek, 10 to 1. More information to come, but save that date. All right, thank you.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. Steph, I believe we have you on for some compliance updates.
Yes, hi, good morning, everybody. Just a few miscellaneous things, all equally important though. So the trust funds and Gmail issues, we are well aware of them. It's, you know, always been known that trust funds initiated going to buyers with Gmail addresses oftentimes end up in spam. Jen Turner and I have learned that randomly Google server has started to block emails coming from trust funds. So the issue that we are now running into is that our buyers with Gmail addresses are not receiving that email link at all. So trust funds is working directly with Google to get that taken care of, but jury is out on how long that is going to take. So in the meantime, if you could find out from your buyer if there is an alternate email address that they could use to send that trust funds link, first try that. But you could also send a link directly from our email to the buyer, and I can show you how to do that, starting with the next slide, Mandy. So you're going to initiate a trust funds link as normal. And then you will be brought to this screen, and you can see in the arrow where it says edit resend email. If you click on that, then you'll come to the screen and there's a big link right there in blue. Buyer's email is correct, but they are still not receiving access. So click on this link, which the below box in blue will pop up. And from here, you can copy the access details and actually cut and paste that link into an email to the buyer. So just paste the link right in your Gmail and send it directly to the buyer yourself. So that is one workaround for this Gmail issue. And again, they are working on it. And sorry for yeah, it's just like a one-day code. So sorry, thanks for your patience. It's just what I want everybody to hear. So, and then the next issue that we are running into, you know, traditionally we receive the emails from trust funds that our earnest money has been submitted. And then, you know, usually 5 to 6 days following that, we'll get an email stating that the email has been settled. That has not been coming through. So there is a way that you can access this PDF directly from trust funds. This is the version of the receipt that we need for compliance. Kimmy needs to see that this earnest money has settled. So this is an example of what that receipt looks like. It'll say right in there that the earnest money has settled. In order to access this, next slide. You're going to go to trust funds from the MLS. Then you are going to be brought to this screen, and instead of initiating a link, you're going to go to your transactions, and it will give you a list of the history of initiations that you have made. So if you go and you locate the earnest money that you need to grab, if you go to view history, you'll see that this will pop up. You can see that it is the settled version, and then you can save it as a PDF right from here. And this is the version that you'll load into your opportunities. All right. So thank you again. Sorry for the inconvenience. It's always something, right? So this next message, showing agents. So if you are a showing agent, you're going to show a listing and you plan to go through the open house, make sure that you are still logging that showing into aligned showings. And don't just come to the open house. So you're missing valuable communication from the listing agent by bypassing that step. You're not going to receive the showing feedback form. And I'm going to circle back to the missing the valuable communication from the listing agent. So, you know, we're using aligned showings to send mass emails, or that showing history to grab emails to send out important information regarding a listing. So you could completely miss that. So this is a duty to your buyer, actually, to make sure you're logging this showing. And then potential cancellations. So we had a recent example of somebody, a listing agent who they accepted an offer ahead of time. They canceled all of the showings. Canceled all the showings and the open house. And that agent who intended on showing the buyer during the open house hours just still showed up and let themselves in. So yeah, we just need to be practicing in better ways. So okay, next one. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but we've had a couple bad players out there in terms of our third-party vendors, which prompted us to want to make sure that we are reminding you guys to know your agreements with your third-party vendors. What we want you to hear from us is, you know, if there's an issue between you and somebody who you've hired to help with your business, whether it's a photographer, I'm gonna keep on the photographer example right now, that if there is an issue, we can guide and support you guys, of course, to the fullest extent. But when it comes down to it, this becomes an issue that we're going to have you guys reach out to your independent counsel for ultimately, because this is outside of the scope of our ICAs and E&O insurance. So, and I think this is a exception, not a norm, but just a reminder that making sure that you understand your agreements with your third-party vendors. So that's all I got. Mandy, thanks for that excellent panel this morning.
Welcome. Thanks, Steph. All right, guys, that's all I had for you today. I look forward to seeing everyone outside at Red Day or inside, giving back to our communities. So have a great day. We'll see you Thursday.